you need to stay ahead of inflation so your purchasing power isn't eroded.
Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
We're calling this segment of our conversation today, Everybody Just Calm Down. Maybe it's too many months of quarantine, too much cable news, or too much Facebook, or whatever you do on social media. Maybe all of that. But people have a lot of anxiety right now. Everybody, it seems, is really stressed out. How would you respond to each of these concerned clients if you received an email from them? First of all, the first one I want to lay out here for you is, we believe there's going to be another Great Depression. Mark, and we don't want to have any money in the bank because it might disappear. Where else should we keep our cash? In a safe at home? Maybe under the mattress on our bed? What should we do?
Well, I've had similar people. I mean, I don't know about a Great Depression. I don't think we're going to have anything to the magnitude of, '08, the great 2008 that we had, which was pretty bad. You got to be somewhat optimistic, but you've also got to be realistic as well. And I think it's managing those. And when you say everybody calm down, it's easier said than done. So many people, self-quarantining, watching the news, there's a lot of fear tactics. The media, not to get political, is trying to control the narrative. And I think it's not as bad as the news is making it sound. But with that being said, if you go to cash, I mean, if the dollar's not worth anything, which is still as bad as things are right now, and as bad as some people might think our country is, our currency is still the number one currency out there. Other people are still buying our currency. What else are you going to do? Buy somebody else's currency, a foreign currency, take on that risk? But it doesn't matter whether you have your money in the market or you have it, under your pillow or wherever it might be. The gold standard doesn't exist. So if your dollar's not good in a stock, then it's not going to be good under your mattress either. So we're all in the same boat. And I know a lot of people are talking about, getting rid of being a cashless society, certainly getting rid of coins. A lot of places don't want to take coins, whether it's because they don't want to touch the money or they really are trying to get rid of coins. Who knows? But anyways, I think it's important to understand it's still the best place to be, quite honestly, even given what's going on right now.
Well, here's another similar situation. Let's say you get an email today from one of your clients who says, I'm certain that we're living in the end times and we don't want to have any money in the market. What's the best way for us to get all our money out?
Well, you certainly, in my opinion, don't want to get all of your money out. I think the risk should be managed to your risk level anyways and to your goals. So you shouldn't be taking more risk than you're comfortable taking, and you should know how much risk you're taking. So you should hopefully be in a balanced portfolio, and the older you are, generally speaking, the less risk you maybe should be taking. Doesn't mean you take your money out and throw it in the bank or buy an annuity, in my opinion, but the risk should be managed, and it should be in money that you can access and can be liquid and those sorts of things. And unfortunately, throwing it all into an annuity, you give up that liquidity. So I think, having the right mix is important, but you also need to understand that we have inflation. And unfortunately, in my opinion, inflation is going to be a bigger problem down the road with all the government printing money like they have been. Inflation is going to be a bigger problem. So you need to stay ahead of inflation. Even if you're a conservative, you need to stay ahead of inflation so your purchasing power isn't eroded. And if you're sitting in cash or money in the bank or under your mattress, you're not going to keep your purchasing power is going to be depleted over time, which is a bigger problem.
The next scenario here is you get an email from a client who says, I was supposed to go on an African safari this fall, but I've obviously had to cancel that. I can reschedule it for the spring, but it's going to cost me nearly 30% more to go at that time of the year. But I feel it's worth the extra money because the animals are quickly dying off because of climate change. Mark, is it worth paying a little extra to make sure I get the chance to see them?
Well, I've had a lot of people cancel trips that they were taking. Certainly. Most of them haven't rescheduled, though. They've got their money back or got a credit and seeing where things happen. I think that's probably the best move, because who knows what travel is going to look like in the future, unfortunately.
True.
I wouldn't pay 30% more for a trip, especially I think demand's going to be lower. In my case, I think there's going to be less demand if people people are going to be fearful for a long time, unfortunately, and not wanting to travel. So we'll see how that pans out. If airfare is going to be more or less, I really don't know. I could see it going either way, depending on what happens. But, I think, we will get past this. It's certainly unprecedented what we're going through, but we will get past this. I'm a big believer that come the election, things are going to start to normalize and all this hysteria and panic is going to go away. But, that's just my opinion. I think that, do the best job that you can. If you're able to get credit for those trips or actually get your money back, I think that's the best position. But if they only give you credit, that's okay too. I mean, I had a big trip planned this summer that's passed and I ended up getting all my money back. It took a little bit of work, but I was able to do that. And I think if you do, you will be able to get your money back. That's my take on it. I wouldn't pay more for a trip down the road than a trip that you were paying for. But that's just my opinion.
Okay. Well, your opinion is usually a very reasoned opinion, Mark. You're listening to Saving with Silverman with Mark Silverman of Silverman and Associates. And we're talking about everybody just calm down. Everybody needs to calm down for sure. And let's say that you have a client who calls you or sends you an email and says, Mark, my son says I should put half my money in gold. I told him I would ask you about it. What would you say?
Well, I've had that discussion. I mean, the gold things comes up. It's coming up again. Gold's up there right now. But if you look historically what gold has done, if you've held gold, I mean, timing the market, no matter whether it's gold or stocks, doesn't work. So assuming that you're buying gold and holding on to it, if you look at the average returns of gold, they're really not that great over a long period of time. And the fact that you put your money in gold doesn't mean you can't lose. A lot of people think if I put it in gold, I'm protected. No, not really. You could lose money in gold, and people have. But gold has had a run, given what's going on with the uncertainty. Whether it continues to run, I don't know. We do have precious metals in some of our portfolios. Doesn't mean we're putting all of our money in there. We're putting a small portion of it into precious metals as a way to diversify. So, just taking your money out and buying gold, if it makes you feel comfortable, that's fine. I wouldn't take a significant portion of your money and buy a precious metal like that.
Mark, I can easily imagine this scenario happen with one of your regular clients who says, I know that we talked about waiting until I'm at least 65 to start my Social Security, but my best friend is telling me the money isn't going to be there later, so I should go ahead and claim it now. What would be your response?
Well, the money will be there later. The government can and will print money. If anything, this has taught us throughout this time is the government will print money. So I'm not worried about the government falling short about coming up with benefits for Social Security. Taking it early, especially if you're working, you're going to end up having to pay a lot of it back, and probably the majority, 85% of it, could be taxable. So it's a negative in my opinion of doing that. You want to take Social Security at the best possible time. And for most people, including myself, it's the only pension that we have. And so you want to maximize it the best that you can. And like I said, we have software that we can use, which can show you if you take it at 62 or 65 or 66 or 70 and show you based on your life expectancy, which is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. And you should make that decision based on that rather than running fearful that the government's going to run out of money and not be able to pay your Social Security benefits.
Well, no politician wants to, cut Social Security. It may be changing, but it won't be cut. That's for sure. Because politicians are good at getting reelected, and that's what they seem to care about a lot. A lot of folks out there might want to, talk to you, Mark, first of all, because you're a soothing voice and a voice of reason. A lot of people out there panicking right now, scared, disappointed, and devastated by what's been going on. I'm going to give out the phone number here in just a moment, but what kind of things are you going to talk about when you have that first conversation?
Well, it's whatever issues somebody has or questions, concerns, whatever it might be. I mean, I have many conversations with my clients as well as people who are, potential clients that just have a question or need some help or guidance or whatever. And I want to be a resource for you and try to help you the best I can. That doesn't mean that everybody I speak to becomes a client, but at least we can have that conversation and then mutually determine if that makes sense to go on to the next step and see if there's a reason for working together. So if anything I said resonates with you, makes sense, whatever it might be, reach out. Nothing happens until you reach out. But this is certainly a difficult time for everyone. I get it. And if I can offer any support, like you said, soothing or any kind of anything that I can do to help you in any way to get you through this time, I'm certainly want to put myself out there for that. So, Ron will give you the information, but, give me a call, send us a text, and make sure you get you on my calendar for a conversation with me.
You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601, or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.